I saw the devil when I was taken into the ocean in Dubarn. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following confession, it comes from a translation of a message that our admin translated for us, and it is translated like this. This is how I left the Shembe church. You can hide my name and do not share it with anyone. Do not even mention the location where I am staying right now, because I am afraid of the forces that I messed up with when I joined Satanism. I wanted to become a very powerful bishop. To this day, the members of my former church, even my own relative, they do not understand why I suddenly closed my church. My church, it was getting started, and there were a lot of people that were now coming to my church, such that on a Sunday, people would be in my yard, would be a lot of people, but I just abandoned my calling. Some, they think that I lost my mind, or maybe there is something else that happened to me. Right now, I am grateful that my daughter, who was once a crippled after I had joined Satanism, my daughter right now, she is walking normally today, and it is because of a miracle that happened. People just think that it was a miracle from God, but after I left Satanism, that was when God decided to heal my daughter, because I had used my daughter as a sacrifice. The truth, it even terrifies me. It makes me to be nervous when I even want to tell my own family. I am a former prophet. I was going to the Shembe church, and I want to tell you how I ended up at the bottom of the ocean in Dubarn, and I found myself looking at Satan himself. My journey did not start with Satanism. For many years, I was a dedicated, clean living member of the church that you all know as the Shembe Church. I loved that church with all of my heart. Each and every sacred mountain of our church, I would go there, and I was extremely proud of being a member of that church. And I had a genuine gift of prayer. I had a grandmother of mine who even said that I was supposed to be a sangoma if it was not that I loved church that much because of my spiritual gift. If I would pray for someone, if they wanted a job, if they would come to me before the interview, the job was going to be theirs. People even in the township, they knew that if you want a miracle, if you go to him, he is going to pray for you. But as the years went by, there was a toxic, dangerous snake of a pride that entered into my heart. When we were at church, I would look at the crowds that would be following our leaders at church. Then I would look at my own life, and I started to become bitter. I wanted to be like the main Shembe leaders. I wanted to also have people following me wherever I would go to. A voice started talking to me at night. I was like, I have a gift. I am not supposed to be like just an ordinary person in the Shembe church. I am supposed to be up there with the other bishops. Why are they driving nice cars? They are living in mansions. And as for someone like me with a spiritual gift, I am just struggling here in the community. There is no one that even gives me a single cent, because they just say that he's a prophet from church. Some even thought that I was getting paid from the church for praying for them. So I could not say no if someone would come to my doorstep and they wanted to receive my prayers. Because of that pride, including the spiritual blindness that was affecting me at that time, I then broke away from the Shembe church, and I opened up my garage, my double garage in my house here in the township, and I made it to become a church. So this church, it was still a traditional church, but with a little bit of modern Pentecostal church. My wife, my two daughters were the first people to attend my very first service. We would sing, we would preach, but there were no miracles. I only had the gift of praying for people, and these people that I used to think would flood to my church because they knew that I was a prophet. They did not come. They were just passing whilst we were busy singing with my kids. My ambition was to become rich. I wanted to become a very rich bishop, to have a very big church that is well known across Africa. One afternoon, there was this other prophet who came to my house, and we started talking. He knew about the church that I had opened up, and when we were talking, that was when he said, "My brother, these days you can't just have a lot of following without your ancestors allowing those people to come to you. You need to use some charms so that you can have a big church." He was even giving me examples of foreign pastors, all of a sudden, those that had big churches. He said, if you really want to have a big following, you need to go to Lagos in Nigeria. He had a connection with a powerful high priest there who was going to open my third eye. I had never heard about the third eye before that. So I started to raise money. My wife knew that we were supposed to go together, but somehow I was then told that I had to go there on that journey alone, where I was going to get prayed for. So I then left South Africa and I took that long distance and I went to Nigeria. When I arrived there, I was greeted and I was staying at this other house, and to my surprise, I saw that there were a lot of papas that were there that had came for prayers from that high priest. He asked me what I wanted, and I told him that I wanted my church to become very big. I wanted a lot of people to come and to attend my church, and the whole of South Africa to know about me. The Nigerian priest, he said to me, "Kneel down." And I knelt down. He took a sword and then he put it on both of my shoulders and on top of my head. And then he said to me, "The spirits, they have heard your cry. You will be called African bishop." He gave me the tongues that I was supposed to speak each and every time when I was about to pray for the whole church. These tongues that I was going to be talking about, they would make people to fall down, thinking that they have some demons that I am exposing. But I was calling demons that are very powerful when they would come, other demons that reside in the bodies of people that are in sin. They will kneel down in front of those demonic figures that I would call out by their names, which I was taught when I was in Nigeria. I was told that I was supposed to meet some entities in the ocean. These were marine spirits that were going to assist me so that when I am standing in front of the people, they can see that I am someone that they can come to his church and they can worship in my church. I had to return back to South Africa, and I was told that there were other priests that were staying in Dubarn that were going to take me to the ocean for my initiation to be completed. I flew back from Nigeria to South Africa. When I came back, I was thinking about how my church was going to be big. Even on the flight, I did not even sleep. So when I arrived in Dubarn, there were Nigerians that contacted me. I don't know where they got my phone numbers. We then started to talk. On the day when it happened, it was during the week when I was told to prepare that same afternoon, because at around 1 a.m. they were going to come and collect me. I had not even seen these men like it physically. I had been talking with them on the phone. They told me that I was supposed to buy a white garment, pure cotton, and I was supposed to shave myself from my head down to my private part and everywhere. I was not supposed to have any single hair on my body. I did as they had instructed me to do. They said when you go to bed, make sure that you do not touch your wife. So I avoided my wife and I slept in the guest bedroom. They told me to go to bed naked with only that soft cotton garment on top of me. I waited for them until I fell fast asleep. at around 1 a.m., then that was when I had a dream, sort of like a vision. In my vision, I saw two Nigerian men. They were waiting for me, and they were holding some clay bowls that was full of blood as well as bird feathers. I went to where they were, and I found myself, I was standing by the beach. They told me to drink the blood, and then I drank it, and they said, follow us. And I followed them into the water. When we were inside the water, amazingly, I was able to breathe. I do not know how, but I was breathing. I did not even feel nervous. I don't feel anything. I was not even choking, even looking for oxygen. I was just able to breathe. I started to sink with them to the bottom of the ocean. The water that was surrounding me, I saw that it cleared up. It was as if we were inside of an elevator, and we were going down and down and down like a vacuum of air that was taking us down. We could touch the water, but the water could not touch us in that vacuum that we're inside. After about 30 minutes, that was when we landed at the bottom of the ocean. My whole imagination, it was really shattered. When we arrived at the bottom of the ocean, I could see another sun, and I could see another moon that was underneath the ocean. And then I was taken into a room which was a throne room. It was surrounded by beautiful white human-like angels that had scary eyes. Some of them, they were joined together, making up the whole entire throne room. And I was told that this was the supreme entity of the underworld. It was Satan himself, and no one is allowed to mention or to call out his name in front of him. My brother, what I saw down there, it completely shattered all the images and the descriptions that I had read from the Bible, even in movies or any Christian book. Satan is not like a red monster with horns and a tail. He is a beautiful angel. He is very confusing. He is an entity of absolute extreme confusion, and he has this beauty that will hypnotized you. As I stepped closer to the throne, my eyes, it expanded with pure shock. I saw that this man, he was very seductive. When I looked at his upper body from the front, he had this beautiful breast of a woman who is like a virgin, who has never nestled a baby on her breast ever, and he or she was stunningly beautiful. His face was so handsome, like no man could ever match it. His skin, it was like gold. It was like polished, and it was really bright. When he shifted on the throne, I saw his back and his hips. They were so beautiful. He had the hips of a woman, and they were really big. At the same time, I saw that in between his legs, he had the manhood of a man. I was confused. As I was looking at him, I started to lust at his female side with the way that he was so beautiful. I kept on looking at his curves. I kept on looking at his breast. And then I saw a cloud that surrounded him, and he disappeared. I found myself, I was in another room where an entity was brought to me, and I was told that in order for me to have a lot of people following me, I was supposed to work with that entity. I was then told that before I could work with that entity, I was supposed to sleep with a woman that was as beautiful as the devil that I had seen. As a man, she must be. And when we came out of the water, I could not understand that riddle. Those Nigerians, they then booked a flight after about two months, and they took me to Mexico. When I was in Mexico, that was when they brought a prostitute before me. I honestly thought that she was a woman. When we were in bed, to my surprise, she did not want me to touch him between her private part, and she gave me from the back. We ended up sleeping together like that. In the morning, that was when I discovered that I had slept with a man that had gone under surgery so that he can look like a woman. I then returned back to South Africa. When I took the flight back to South Africa, that was when I started to see the entities. They told me that I was going to perform miracles. The week that I reopened the church, there were about 35 people from the location that came and they were with us in church, and all of those people, those that had some problems, those that were sick, I healed them. To this very day, there was a woman that had HIV, and when I prayed for her, she vomited, and she has never taken a single pill to this very day. There were those that were struggling to get jobs. Whilst we were in church, they were being called by people they did not know, saying that they were offering them a job. So I started to get a lot of people that would come to my house. They were taxis that were even bringing people from other neighborhoods on a Sunday. My yard would be full of people. I would be in the garage preaching. Some would be listening to me because we would connect the speakers all the way to the back of the house. They would be sitting, hearing whilst I was preaching for them, praying for them, and people were falling because I would mention the names of those two entities, the two demonic figures. But the devil will always come and collect something from you. As my church was growing, I was even thinking of renting out this other church. The people at that church, they were attending their church on a Saturday, which meant that Sunday their church would be closed. So I wanted them to rent the place for me because I did not have much money by then. When I was about to do that, one day we had a scream. My daughter, she was sleeping. We rushed and then we found my daughter. She had her legs twisted. We could not even understand. She was born complete, but somehow her legs became stiff. She said that she could not feel her legs and she was having a stroke. We rushed with her to the doctor, and then they said that there was something that was wrong with her spine or the nerves. They started to give her medication. Nothing was working. That was when one day I was crying alone in my garage. I had a voice that said to me, "Why are you crying, Bishop? Did you not receive the miracles that you were crying for? We have taken your daughter. In order for you to become the most powerful pastor in South Africa and popular in Africa, you must accept this sacrifice in silence. You have to spill blood after this." I felt horrified about these demons that were talking to me. I started to pray really hard, and the demons were reminding me what I had done with that man that I slept with in Mexico, saying that they were going to expose me to everyone. I prayed and I started to fast. Take your money, take everything. I am done. I don't want this covenant. The next morning, the Holy Spirit told me that I was supposed to fast. I fasted and nothing happened. I then closed my church permanently. No one even understood why, when they came to church on the next Sunday, the bishop had closed his church. I just told them that I did not want to operate the church anymore. So some, they laughed and they said that he thought that running a church is kid game, but to me, I understand what I had done and what I was doing. I waited for a miracle and it did not come. I started worshiping God even in my own house. After 6 months, silence from God. And then that was when a miracle happened that makes me to cry to this very day. We were watching TV. Then my daughter started screaming in pain. She said that she was feeling so much pain in her legs. And all along, she used not to feel any pain at all. We called the ambulance. Whilst he was on the ambulance, that was when she started to say that she was feeling her own legs. This we were told by the paramedics when we arrived at the hospital. We were shocked and we started to celebrate what had happened, what God had done to me. My wife was angry and she said, God has revealed to us a miracle, yet you do not want to continue serving him as a bishop. I could not tell my wife that this is what I did from the moment that I met the devil in the ocean. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by our admin who helped us with the translation. Let us speak about this in the comment section. Can you believe it? Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Whilst we are sleeping, some people, they go underneath the ocean and they meet with the devil. If you have such a story, please reach out to us. You can write in your language and we will try to find someone that can translate it for us. So feel free to reach out to us on TikTok as well as on Facebook. Let us meet again in the following episode.